An unexpected financial earthquake could be on the horizon, one that starts not in Wall Street, but in the heart of Europe. Germany and Italy, two of the Eurozone's biggest economies, are now seriously considering pulling their gold reserves out of the legendary vaults of the New York Federal Reserve. We're talking about 1,130 tons of solid gold, worth over $210 billion, being flown back to Europe in secretive midnight operations using NATO military cargo planes. It's not just logistics. It's a political bombshell. If these plans go through, it could rattle the global financial system, upend America's borrowing model, and even start a new chapter in the long-brewing rivalry between the dollar and gold. Why now? Why this gold? And why does this seemingly symbolic move have Washington on edge? Let's unpack what's really happening. For more than 80 years, the idea that U.S. vaults, especially the New York Fed, were the safest place on earth for storing national gold was never even questioned. But in the heat of summer 2025, that confidence is breaking down. A classified leak from high-level financial circles revealed something stunning. Berlin and Rome have a concrete, coordinated plan to repatriate their bullion, 1,130 tons of it, in just under 2 months. That's nearly 40% of Germany and Italy's total gold reserves, ready to board NATO aircraft and leave American soil. The German public, once mostly indifferent, is now leaning toward bringing the gold home. And the debate has gone from fringe talking points to full-blown national drama. Germany's gold story begins with numbers. According to the Bundesbank, the country owns 3,352 tons of gold. But here's the twist: 1,236 tons, around one-third, is still sitting deep beneath Manhattan, guarded by 24-meter-thick steel walls in the New York Federal. At today's prices, that's $134 billion worth of pure leverage. Italy? Not far behind. Out of its 2,451 tons of reserves, about 700 tons remain under U.S. custody, valued at around $75 billion. So why now? Why the sudden urge to bring it all back? The first major push came from Germany's political opposition, the Alternative for Deutschland, or AfD. For years, AfD leaders like Alice Weidel have been calling for the full repatriation of gold, framing it as a question of sovereignty and national control. In their party platform, it's written in black and white: bring Germany's gold back, reform the monetary system, secure the nation's wealth. And now, with economic nationalism on the rise and Trump-era trade threats back in full swing, AfD's message is hitting home. Weidel recently blasted CDU leader Friedrich Merz, accusing him of being too cozy with Washington, suggesting he's willing to leave Germany's wealth hostage across the Atlantic. Meanwhile, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is sending her own signals, reminding everyone that she pledged to return Italy's gold to Rome back when she was in the opposition. It's not just talk. Germany already has experience in this kind of covert gold transfer. Between 2013 and 2017, the Bundesbank ran a successful operation to bring back 674 tons from New York and Paris. Each shipment, carried out at night, under NATO protection, sometimes with only a few insiders even knowing the schedule. The logistics are tested and ready. So the real question is, what's stopping them? Well, the CDU is divided. Merz is playing a delicate game. On the one hand, he wants to win back voters by proving he's tough on national wealth and economic independence. On the other, the German finance ministry is still hedging its bets, pushing the matter back to the Bundesbank. The bank's public stance? Cool and calculated. Officials maintain that the New York Fed remains a trustworthy and reliable custodian. But trust is exactly what's cracking. This isn't just about bullion in a vault. It's a bargaining chip. With trade negotiations heating up again, customs tariffs, defense spending, and steel quotas all on the table, Germany might use this gold pullback as a high-stakes bluff. A way to gain leverage, remind Washington of what's at stake, and signal that Germany won't be bullied into economic submission. Italy's situation is even trickier. Meloni, once a vocal critic of U.S. influence, is now walking a tightrope. She promised the Italian people their gold would return to Rome. But now, with trade tensions flaring up again, especially around steel and aluminum, she's holding her move, waiting to see what Washington offers in return. Behind the scenes, a highly secretive plan has already been drafted. According to the leak, both the Bundesbank and the Banca d'Italia are preparing for staggered shipments, 50 to 60 tons per week. Again, flown at night. Again, under NATO cover. And the consequences? If Germany and Italy make this move, the Fed's own balance sheet will immediately show a $209 billion shrinkage in gold deposits. That's not just an accounting tweak. It's a massive red flag to global markets. Overnight liquidity could tighten, repo auctions could spike, and interest rate volatility would rise fast. The first ripple effect? U.S. Treasury yields. A 10 basis point jump in yields could cascade through mortgage markets, corporate bonds, and consumer loans. Borrowing costs would spike. The housing market could chill. Auto loans could stall. And more than just numbers, jobs, thousands of them, could be on the line. And that's just the beginning. If Germany and Italy follow through with their gold repatriation plan, the shockwaves could extend far beyond central bank vaults. This isn't just about bullion. It's about global trust. With over $210 billion worth of gold potentially leaving the New York Fed, markets are bracing for real consequences. First, liquidity. The Fed's overnight reverse repo auctions, already tight, could face a $20 billion gap in the first week alone. That could drive short-term interest rates higher and shake confidence in U.S. monetary stability. The Fed could respond with increased repo limits or expand swap lines with the ECB. But here's the catch. These tools only work if the dollar's credibility remains intact. Once trust falters, costs skyrocket, and it won't stop with gold. Germany and Italy are also expected to cut $18 billion in U.S. Treasury holdings. That alone could push the 10-year yield up 5 to 6 basis points, adding fuel to an already warming fire. Rising yields mean more expensive debt for the U.S. According to CBO projections, federal interest payments, $659 billion in 2024, could climb to $770 billion by 2026. That's more than the defense budget. All because allies no longer feel secure leaving their reserves in America's hands. If other European nations follow, Austria, the Netherlands, Belgium, the impact multiplies. A 4 to 5% drop in the dollar's reserve share could drain $800 billion of demand from U.S. debt markets. The neutral interest rate could rise from 2.5% to 3.5%, pushing up costs across the board. For average Americans, this means higher mortgage and loan payments. A 25 basis point rise in rates would raise monthly costs on a $350,000 mortgage by $30 or $380 annually. That's enough to chill the housing market. Analysts predict a 5.6% drop in starts by 2026, slashing demand for construction materials. In the auto sector, the pain hits as car loans near 85% LTV. Combined with rising labor costs, higher interest rates could mean 500,000 fewer vehicles sold annually, and over 10,000 manufacturing jobs at risk. Local governments won't be spared either. A 30 basis point rise in municipal bond yields could stall major infrastructure projects across the U.S., worsening regional economic stagnation. So what's the Fed's response? One option floated, a gold-backed lending window. Banks could use bullion as collateral for short-term liquidity. But doing so openly signals weakness, suggesting that even the Fed now sees gold as more trustworthy than dollars. Another option, beef up swap lines with Europe and other developed markets. But again, swaps only work if global faith in the dollar holds. Once that erodes, the entire system comes under strain. Meanwhile, political pressure is mounting in Europe. In Berlin, the CDU-SPD Green coalition is struggling to balance public sentiment with international diplomacy. The German Taxpayers Association has already petitioned Parliament, demanding full gold repatriation. In Rome, Prime Minister Meloni is weighing the gold issue against ongoing U.S. trade talks. If negotiations fail, Italy may fast-track the Villa Borghese project, a fortified gold reserve vault in the capital. The message? If you can't trust the vaults in New York, build your own. But this isn't just about moving metal. It's about breaking a decades-old belief that U.S. custody equals global safety. If more countries follow, the dollar's grip on the global reserve system could loosen permanently. In the post-Bretton Woods era, trust in the U.S. replaced gold as the foundation of global finance. But now, that trust is cracking. Every bar of gold flown out of New York is a symbol, one that says, maybe the era of the dollar isn't as unshakable as we thought. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Is this just a shift in storage, or the start of a new financial era? Don't forget to like, subscribe to Global Pulse, and turn on notifications. We'll be watching every move, so you don't miss what's coming next.